This is for you if you're a high performer, but you feel like you're running at full speed and going absolutely nowhere. You know the feeling. 12-hour days, a huge vision for your life, but somehow you're just adrift, stuck in what's called functional stagnation. Well, today, we're not just going to talk about this problem, we are delivering a system upgrade. We're going to walk through the vision compression protocol, a system designed to move you from strategic paralysis to surgical undeniable impact. Let's do this.
Now, this quote probably goes against every single piece of advice you've ever gotten about setting goals. I mean, we've all been sold on this idea of detail-driven success, right? The 50-page life plan is supposed to be the key. But that's the core paradox we have to dismantle. The truth, and this is rooted in how our brains actually manage energy, is that an overly complex vision doesn't spark action. It triggers a system shutdown. Your brain literally sees all that complexity as a threat to its resources. So the vision becomes this heavy weight, not an electric signal. And the reason for this, it's biological. It is not a flaw in your character.
So here's our roadmap for this system install. First, we'll unpack the vision paradox. Then we'll get into your brain's complexity veto, the real biology behind why you feel stuck. After that, we'll introduce the solution, the vision compression engine. Next, we'll cover the science of engineering your neural state, so you know exactly why this works. Then we get practical with the 10-word audit. And finally, we'll talk about how to sieve the dreams. Let's get to it. Okay, so let's put a name to that feeling you have. You've got these huge dreams, tons of projects, a whole universe of possible futures you could build. It's like you're haunted by the sheer number of your own good ideas. But instead of feeling energized, you just feel scattered. It's like you're trying to win a race, but you're carrying 100 different maps, and they're all pointing in slightly different directions. Look, this isn't a lack of ambition. It's the direct result of an uncompressed vision that's just weighing you down. This right here, this is the enemy we are here to defeat, strategic paralysis. It's that heavy, distinct feeling when you have an amazing vision, but you're totally frozen when it comes to taking that first step. Why does this happen? Because you haven't decided which of your 10 priorities is the real lead domino. Your brain, when it's faced with this buffet of complex options, just refuses to choose. It's a protective mechanism that looks a lot like procrastination, and it's absolutely costing you your impact. Let's be crystal clear about something. The problem isn't you. It's your state. You are overclocked. Your brain is literally drowning in the depth of its own plans. And this creates what we call decision entropy, a state where every new idea just adds more chaos instead of clarity. It's running this conflict script that treats every good idea as a distraction from another good idea. And that state of information panic is why you feel like you're working twice as hard for zero forward momentum. You don't need to dream more, you need to sieve the noise.
All right, moving on to the diagnosis. This feeling of being stuck, it's not a mindset issue. It's biological. Your brain has a built-in circuit breaker, and it's designed to stop you from wasting precious energy on overly complex, high-risk ideas. And right now, your grand, beautiful, super detailed vision is triggering that exact circuit breaker, day in and day out.
This is so important to understand. What you're experiencing is not laziness. It's not a lack of discipline. It's a systemic neural hijack. There's a part of your brain called the Anterior Cingulate Cortex, the ACC, and it acts like a little chief financial officer for your energy. Its job is to look at the cost versus the benefit of any action. So when it looks at your beautiful, complex vision, it doesn't see inspiration. It sees a massive energy bill and a high risk of failure. So what does it do? It slams on the brakes. So this is where it all breaks down. The promise we're sold is that a big vision leads to big action, but the biological reality is that a big uncompressed vision leads to a high metabolic cost. Your ECC detects that cost, it issues a veto, and the result is that functional stagnation you're feeling. Your brain has literally decided that just thinking about the plan, daydreaming about it is way safer and cheaper than actually executing it. And this metaphor just perfectly nails the core of the complexity glitch. You have all the hardware of a high-performance machine. You've got the ambition, the intelligence, the drive, but you've been feeding it the wrong software. You've taught your internal flight computer that just gathering more data, more plans, more options is the same thing as actually gaining more distance. It's not. It's the very thing keeping you on the ground. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. Now it's time for the prescription. We are going to manually burn away all that complexity and turn your cloudy dream into a precision laser. And this isn't about traditional goal setting, which, let's be honest, often fails. This is a 3-layer protocol designed to engineer clarity and make massive achievement the path of least resistance. This is the Vision Accelerator. So these are the three core mechanics of the vision compression engine. First up is the Lead Domino Audit to find your one true focus. Second, Linguistic Stripping, which is how we code that focus into a command your brain can't argue with. And third, Binary Filter Weighting, a way to completely rewire your brain's reward system to value focus over distraction. Let's break each one of these down. The first step is a radical shift in how you ask questions. You have to stop asking, "What do I want?" That question just invites 1,000 different answers and triggers that ACC veto. Instead, you're going to ask, what is the one move that if I accomplish it would make all my other goals either easier or totally irrelevant? This is about hunting for the root desire, the one domino that when you tip it over brings everything else crashing down with it. You find that one thing, and then you have the guts to kill the rest. So once you have your lead domino, you stop visualizing and you start coding. Linguistic stripping is all about taking that one single focus and compressing it into a command that's impossible to argue with. 10 words or less. Why? Well, a vague goal can be debated by your brain, but a direct command? It can't. A command is clear, it has a low metabolic cost to process, and it totally bypasses that ACC conflict veto. Think of this as the RAM upgrade for your intent.
And this final step is so crucial. You're basically refactoring your brain's entire incentive structure. With binary filter weighting, you stop looking at endless options and you start hunting the goal. You create a system where your brain gets its main dopamine hit, not from finishing a task, but from the simple act of aligning your actions with that 10-word command. So, for example, if your command is launch new software by December, you don't just feel good when it's done. You feel good every single time you say no to a distracting meeting or yes to an hour of coding. You're rewarding the process, not just the outcome.
Now, I want to be clear. This isn't just some clever productivity hack. This protocol works because it's built on the fundamental principles of neurobiology. When you engineer your vision through compression, you are manually lowering the energy cost of your strategic thinking. You are engineering what's called neural saliency, making your one goal the brightest, most important thing on your brain's radar. Just look at this. Research shows that the second you shift from a complex, multi-layered vision to a single, compressed command, the conflict signal in your brain, that internal argument that just drains your energy, it drops dramatically. You're literally quieting the noise inside your own head, and that frees up an incredible amount of cognitive bandwidth for what actually matters: execution.
Let's put a number on it. We're talking about up to a 40% reduction in that conflict signal almost instantly. Just think about that for a second. That's a 40% gain in your strategic throughput. That's 40% more energy you're no longer wasting on weighing possibilities, and you can now invest it directly into executing the one move that truly matters. You're not working harder, you're operating with a cleaner, more efficient signal. And this is the state we're aiming for: neural coherence. It's a state where your focus is concentrated, like a laser, purely on execution. This preserves what neuroscientists call executive glucose. See, just like your muscles, your brain uses glucose as fuel, especially for the hard stuff, like decision-making and willpower. By cutting down on all that internal conflict, you're literally saving fuel for the actions that get you results. You stop being a slave to your imagination and you become the CEO of your destiny.
Okay, we've covered the theory, we've covered the science. Now let's move from understanding to application. You can integrate this into your life today, like right now, by performing a compression audit on your very next planning session. This is your immediate action plan to subtract the noise, create the signal, and get rid of the fog for good. So the audit itself has 3 critical actions. First, you're going to identify your lead domino. Second, you will apply the 10-word filter to make it non-negotiable for your brain. And third, you'll enforce it with a binary calendar, making sure your actions always match your new compressed vision. Let's walk through how to do that right now.
I want you to really seriously think about this question. This is the absolute heart of the lead domino audit. Be ruthless with yourself here. What is the one singular achievement that would fundamentally change the entire game for you? The one thing that, if you did it, you could look back on this whole decade as an undeniable success, even if nothing else went right. Find that. That's your target.
Okay, now for the hard and fast rules of linguistic stripping. Once you have your lead domino, you have to describe it in 10 words or fewer. There are 0 exceptions. And it absolutely must start with a verb. Words like build, launch, master, achieve. Why? Because this isn't a wish. It is a direct command you are giving to your nervous system. This is your sentence. So let's bring this all together. The entire philosophy here is about subtraction, not addition. Greatness isn't about how much you can imagine. It's about how skillfully you can subtract until only raw impact is left. You just can't outperform a complex vision. The biology of your own brain will eventually force you to freeze. Remember, vision is an engineered signal, not an imagination exercise. If you take nothing else away from this, please let it be this. The struggle you've been having is not a moral failing. It is not a character flaw. It's a hardware problem. You've been trying to run the wrong software on a high-performance machine. By installing the vision compression protocol, you're not trying to become a better person. You're simply engineering a better signal for the incredible hardware you already have. So this is your challenge. Sieve the dreams to claim the impact. Take your grandest, most complex vision, find that one lead domino that makes all the rest irrelevant, and compress that signal into a 10-word command. Find your sentence, because once you master the art of vision compression, your future stops being some vague hope and becomes an unstoppable high-resolution force.